I just read an article where the reporter described her interviews with a variety of people. And she gave an overview about how more and more high-powered professionals and business people are reevaluating their concept of success. We've all been taught for many, many years, all of our lives, that success comes from studying hard, working hard, getting the grades, getting the job, getting promoted, and on, and we know that stepladder approach. It's how society defines success overall, with the rare exceptions of, crazy successful performers that appear out of the blue. But that's reliable success. But how many millions of us have followed that exact formula, buying that lie, only to discover that this success doesn't give us the peace, contentment, and happiness that we just assumed would go along with all that work and advancement, which is what the article proposed. I followed that path. I did all that stuff. I was the best at this and that from grade school to, forever. And I got nothing. I ended up in the woods behind my house with a gun to my head, depressed, drug addict, suicidal, from doing all the right steps to be successful. So think about this when you're trying to help your child be successful. That's the point of this video. What we've defined as success and what we just work so hard to get for our children doesn't work. It works getting the goal that it proposes, the promotion, being spectacular, but it doesn't give us happiness. Our kids don't have to get into the elite Ivy League school in order to be happy. That's just one example of where we just kill ourselves padding our children's resumes before they apply for school. 50%, this was years ago, I read an interview of a man who was the CEO of a Fortune 100 company, so the top 100 traded companies at the time. And his estimate, from knowing a lot of other CEOs of Fortune 100 companies, his estimate was that 50% of them, 50% of the ones he knew, were taking something either for depression or anxiety or both, which really slaps in the face the notion that success is what we want. At least success is defined by the world. So what does this have to do with our children? A great deal. I have personally worked with a great many of these successful men and women. I've encountered very, very few, less than 1%, who were happy with their personal lives, despite access to the very best of, say, mental health care. They're still unhappy. I had a man sitting in my living room who was worth about $2 billion with a B at the time, and he said to me, tears running down his face, "I'm the loneliest man on the face of the planet." Moved me to tears too. And he had done everything right, from school through job, through being an entrepreneur, making untold sums of money. I have learned that these successful men and women all have one thing in common. It's absolutely consistent. How many things in life are 100% consistent? So this is pretty big. Not one of them was loved in childhood. None of them. Nobody taught them where a real sense of worth comes from. Nobody taught them that it was all about love. Not one of them. And this is with me working with hundreds of them. They never even saw it, much less were they taught about it. Neither did their parents see it. A kid can't survive without something to fill them up. Attention, power, whatever. When they don't feel sufficiently unconditionally loved, they are going to fill up their time and energy with getting entertainment, attention, power. What's a prominent way to get attention and power? Competition. Oh, the world is just filled with it. Dog eat dog. It's a zero-sum game. Look at the stock markets. Fight to the death. Well, but competition is good, right? No, not so much. It's not. despite everything that everybody says. Win the ball game, win the match, win the job, win the admission to a school. But for every winner, we don't think about this. There are so many losers. You want to see one of the most, to me, tragic experiences in sport is to watch the Olympics. And they refer to the guy who's second fastest in the world as losing the race. He's a loser. And heaven help you if you come in fourth in the Olympics. Now you don't get any medal at all. Look at the medal stand, where commonly the man or the woman standing on the stand who got a bronze medal is hanging their head, especially if they were favored to win. Heaven help you if you lose. An old sports announcer said, losing feels worse than winning feels good. Oh yeah, by a lot. Look at the people who win. They're excited. They have a fun time for a little while, and the people who lose are crushed. So in these competitions, all these kids end up feeling worse about themselves. All these losers. There's a race of 50 kids, and 49 kids feel bad about their performance. And the winners don't feel that great either. Nobody wins in these competitions. I can still remember all the way through school, I was the first, the best, at everything. And in one class, trigonometry, I think, they were doing, if you can imagine, a race in trigonometry. So the teacher would put problems up on the board, and you would go up and do essentially a spelling bee. You would win by doing a problem faster than the other kid who went up. I always won. That sounds like a good thing, doesn't it? You'd think you'd brag about that. Yeah, no, not so much. So I go up this one day, and I'm winning, and I sit down. I just won. And the pressure of constantly having to win was just killing me, and my entire body broke out in hives. I wanted to take a garden rake and scratch off my skin. So in competition, there's all these losers, and even the winners, if they don't break out in hives, they still become addicted to the winning. I can't tell you how many pro athletes drop out of professional sports because they just go, it isn't worth it anymore. It's just too much pressure. But people say, but don't we need competition? No. There are studies proving, not just one study, that kids who are pushed to do better with praise or anything else, pushed, do worse. Take a group of kids who are coloring with crayons. Why does a kid color with crayons? Because they like to. That's why. We all have this creative urge in this, an urge to be fulfilled. And they've studied kids who are drawing with crayons. And the more you praise them, the less they do it. Why? Because they feel the pressure of having to perform the next time. Now, yes, some kids thrive under competition, but not for a lifetime they don't. They're not happy. Well, but what's the alternative to competition? Well, imagine loving our kids and trusting that if they feel loved to start with, if they have that underpinning, if they feel fulfilled and worthwhile, imagine trusting them that their creativity will just blossom. Trust them that they would just explore and have fun without competition. So instead of having to prove their worth, which we all do, no, now they're just expressing their worth, who they are. Don't prove their worth, but express it. And kids will. We don't give them a chance to. They don't feel unconditionally loved to start with, so how would we know what it was like? Or how it would be like for them not to compete? I led a Boy Scout team for years, and this was a big group of kids. They had more fun than they ever imagined in their lives. Their parents would say, what are you doing to my kid? Because they come home from scout activities just so filled with joy. We played basketball, handball, football, all the traditional stuff. We made stuff up as sports. Why did they have such fun? Because we did one thing. We didn't keep score. So now the kids are playing for, imagine this, fun, expression, creativity, teamwork. Do you know what it's like to see the little chubby, isolated kid who doesn't do anything in sports catch the football in the end zone from the varsity quarterback of the middle school? Oh, you'd think that he'd won a gold medal at the Olympics. And the varsity quarterback threw the ball because he knew it would be fun. And the whole team erupts into cheers because this kid caught the ball probably for the first time in his life. It looked like the first time. My kids and I used to play tennis a lot. We had such fun playing tennis. And these kids would reach for a shot like they were in the finals at Wimbledon. It was fun, and we never kept score. One day, one of the kids said, "Dad, let's just keep score for a little while." I said, "Okay." So we started keeping score. And before long, a racket was being thrown against the fence. And there was sulking and anger. And competition doesn't lead to happiness. So how do we teach this to our kids? We love them unconditionally, which you're going to find if you go on the website at reallove.com. It's everywhere how to love them. And stop grading them. Stop saying, "Great job, you were faster than the other person, you won." Stop saying that. I had a son, well, I still have a son, who was a great swimmer. And I mean, really good, state championship level kind of swimmer. And when he'd come from a meet where he'd won all the events, I never asked him if he won. I asked him two things. "Did you have fun?" "Yeah, man, Dad, we ate popcorn on the bus and blah, blah. Did you have fun?" "Yeah." "Did you learn anything?" "Yeah, I learned that I could improve my stroke this way or that way, or I learned not to tease this guy on the bus." Or, "Did you have fun and did you learn?" That's it. Those are lessons that your kids are going to carry with them for the rest of their lives. When you see one child competing with another and they say something like, "I won," what can you do? To decrease the emphasis on competition, not to stop it, just decrease the emphasis. So "I'm faster, I won." You say, so in this moment, with this tone of voice, not "what are you doing?" Mm-mm. In this moment, who are you caring about? And then you help them, because they're not going to know the answer immediately. With only a little help, your child realizes that he's thinking about himself. It's selfish to say, "I beat you, I won, I'm faster." That's what competition does. It breeds selfishness. Actually, it creates it. The fun goes away and the conflicts begin. When you're playing basketball for fun, do you know how often a kid screams at the referee that the call was wrong? They don't. They're having fun. Competition rarely fosters love. Instead, competition leads children to think that winning is more important than having fun. Well, that's kind of a fun killer. They learn to get attention and power. They learn to be selfish and not care about the happiness of other people. They learn to find pleasure in beating other people down. Are those the skills you want to teach your kid? So it turns out that competition doesn't lead to happiness, and life is not about the next step to success. It's about feeling loved as you take the next step. Ironically, if you feel loved, you can't lose. There's no fear if you feel loved. You already have everything. And then you perform even better. I had a teenager just the other day, freshman in college, and she called me and she said, "This is just so tense and I have to get these good grades." And I looked at her on the video call and just said, "Honey, I love you." And she went, "Well, I love you." She repeated it back to me. We did that for several minutes. And I said, "Now, do you feel loved?" "Yeah." said, do you feel calm? Yeah. And she went back to studying the subject, the same subject that she had at the beginning of the call. She went back to the call and she understood all the material and did better on the test, as opposed to me telling her all the ways to succeed on the test, which would only have increased her anxiety. It turns out that childhood is not a time, it's a condition. It's where we train our children either to win, which will crush them, or to feel loved, which will save them. Parenting is a unique job. It requires unique skills or training. We don't have to be lost as we take on this unfathomably difficult job. That's why I created the Ridiculously Effective Parenting Training. And you can learn more about it here on this YouTube channel and by going to realloveparents.com. I'll see you there.